The Amish are well known for their remarkable skill in preserving food to last for years, even decades, while retaining quality, nutrition, and flavor. This approach isn't just about keeping food edible, it's about creating a pantry that can endure and nourish over the long term. Let's explore some of the traditional methods the Amish use to make their food supplies nearly timeless. Canning is a key method, where food is sealed in jars or cans and heated to kill off harmful microorganisms. This process creates a vacuum seal that blocks out air and bacteria, preventing spoilage. When done correctly, canned foods, like vegetables, fruits, and meats, can last for years without refrigeration. Staples such as tomatoes, green beans, and peaches are popular choices in Amish kitchens. Fermenting is another preservation technique that not only preserves food, but also boosts its flavor and nutritional value. Fermentation involves using natural microorganisms to convert sugars into acids or alcohol. The acidic environment created by fermentation halts spoilage and even supports gut health with beneficial probiotics. In Amish pantries, you'll often find fermented items like sauerkraut, pickles, and kefir, which can last for months, sometimes even longer. Drying removes moisture from food, preventing bacteria, molds, and yeasts from thriving. This technique results in lightweight foods that can be stored easily without refrigeration. Dried beans, fruits, herbs, and meats are common in Amish households. Examples include dried apples and jerky, which remain fresh when kept in airtight containers. Lastly, root cellaring involves storing certain vegetables in a cool, dark, and humid environment. This method takes advantage of the natural climate of a root cellar to keep produce fresh for extended periods. Root cellaring slows the decomposition process, allowing vegetables like potatoes, carrots, and beets to last for months, sometimes up to a year. Together, these time-honored preservation methods enable the Amish to stockpile food that's not only long-lasting, but also reliable and nourishing. Each technique plays an essential role in maintaining freshness and nutritional quality, making Amish preserved foods an enduring staple. Amish communities have mastered the art of preserving food that remains fresh and nutritious for years, making it an ideal model for those interested in long-term food storage. Here's a look at a few staples the Amish rely on and the methods they use to keep these foods lasting. Food 1. Home-canned vegetables. Home-canned vegetables are a foundation of Amish food storage. When properly canned, they can last for decades without refrigeration, maintaining their taste and nutritional value. Start by choosing fresh, high-quality vegetables. Wash and prepare them, blanching if necessary. Sterilize canning jars and lids by boiling them, then pack the prepared vegetables into the jars, leaving a bit of space at the top. Pour hot brine or water over the vegetables, ensuring no air bubbles remain. Wipe the rims clean and secure the lids tightly. Process the jars in either a boiling water bath or a pressure canner, depending on the type of vegetable and recipe. Once processed, allow the jars to cool fully and check the seals before storing them in a cool, dark location. Properly sealed, canned vegetables can retain their quality for many years. Food 2. Dried beans. Dried beans are not only packed with nutrients, but also incredibly long-lasting. When stored in a cool, dry place, they can last for decades, making them a reliable staple for long-term storage. To prepare dried beans, start by sorting and rinsing them to remove any debris. Soak them overnight in plenty of water to rehydrate, then drain and spread them out on a baking sheet. Use a dehydrator or a low-temperature oven setting to dry the beans thoroughly. Once fully dried, store them in airtight containers or vacuum-sealed bags to protect against moisture and pests. Stored in a cool, dark spot, dried beans can maintain their quality and nutrition for many years. Food 3. Hardtack. Hardtack is a traditional, durable biscuit that has been relied upon for centuries as a long-lasting food source. This simple, dry bread can endure years without spoiling, making it an excellent example of timeless food preservation. To make hardtack, mix flour with water until it forms a stiff dough, adding a pinch of salt if you'd like. Roll out the dough and cut it into small squares or rectangles, poking a few holes in each piece to promote even baking. Bake at a low temperature until the pieces are thoroughly dry and hard, which may take several hours. Allow them to cool completely, then store them in airtight containers or vacuum-sealed bags to keep moisture out. Stored properly, hardtack can last for years as a reliable, enduring food source. Food. 4. Homemade sauerkraut. Fermented foods like sauerkraut are not only delicious but also naturally long-lasting. Sauerkraut, a type of fermented cabbage, is preserved through lactic acid fermentation, which creates an acidic environment that inhibits spoilage. To make sauerkraut, start by shredding fresh cabbage and mixing it with salt. The salt draws moisture from the cabbage, creating the perfect environment for beneficial bacteria to thrive. Pack the cabbage tightly into jars, ensuring it remains submerged in its own liquid. Over time, the cabbage ferments, gaining a tangy flavor and increasing its nutritional profile. Stored in a cool, dark place, homemade sauerkraut can last for months, offering both flavor and probiotic benefits. Using these techniques, the Amish ensure their food is preserved not only for extended periods, but also in a way that supports a healthy, resilient lifestyle. Each method showcases a unique approach to making food last, demonstrating the Amish's expertise in timeless, practical preservation methods. Food 4. To make sauerkraut, pack salted cabbage tightly into a clean fermentation crock or jar, ensuring that all the cabbage remains submerged in its juices. Place a weight on top to keep the cabbage fully submerged, and cover the container with a cloth to let gases escape while keeping out dust and pests. Allow the sauerkraut to ferment at room temperature for several weeks, sampling periodically until it reaches the desired flavor. When fully fermented, transfer the sauerkraut to airtight containers, then store it in the refrigerator or a cool, dark area. Properly fermented and stored sauerkraut can last for months, delivering rich flavor and nutritional benefits. Food. 5. Honey. Honey is a remarkable natural food with the ability to last indefinitely due to its low moisture content and natural acidity. To keep honey in the best condition, store it in an airtight container to prevent any moisture from entering. Keep it in a cool, dry place, away from heat and direct sunlight, and avoid using wet utensils, as moisture can encourage fermentation. If honey crystallizes, gently warm the container in warm water and stir until it liquefies. Stored correctly, honey will maintain its sweetness and quality for years. Food 6. Cornmeal. Cornmeal is a versatile pantry staple that, when stored correctly, can last for many years due to its low moisture content and natural preservatives. Store cornmeal in an airtight container to protect it from moisture and pests, keeping it in a cool, dark place such as a pantry. For even longer preservation, consider vacuum sealing or freezing cornmeal to prevent infestations and spoilage. If frozen, allow cornmeal to return to room temperature before use. Properly stored, cornmeal is a reliable staple for long-term storage. Food. 7. Canned fruits. When prepared properly, canned fruits can last for years, offering a convenient and nutritious option for your pantry. Begin with ripe, high-quality fruits, washing and peeling them if necessary, and cutting them into uniform pieces. Sterilize your canning jars and lids by boiling them, then pack the fruit into the jars, leaving space at the top for expansion. Pour hot syrup or juice over the fruit, ensuring it covers the pieces completely, with no air bubbles trapped inside. Wipe the rims with a clean cloth to remove any residue, secure the lids, and process the jars in a boiling water bath or pressure canner according to the type of fruit. After processing, let the jars cool fully and check the seals. Stored correctly, canned fruits can retain their quality for several years. Food. 8. Dried herbs. Dried herbs are an excellent way to preserve the fresh flavors of your garden for year-round use. When dried and stored properly, they maintain their aroma and potency for an extended time. Harvest herbs at peak flavor, ideally just before they bloom. Rinse to remove any dirt, then pat them dry with a clean towel. Bundle small bunches with string and hang them upside down in a dry, well-ventilated area, away from direct sunlight. Alternatively, use a dehydrator or oven on a low setting to speed up the process. Once dry and brittle, remove the leaves from the stems, crumble them, and store in airtight containers or vacuum-sealed bags to keep out moisture and light. Using these time-tested techniques, you can store a variety of foods with long shelf lives, ensuring they stay fresh, flavorful, and nourishing. Each method provides a reliable approach to maintaining a well-stocked and sustainable pantry. Food 9. Dried herbs. Dried herbs are a fantastic way to keep your kitchen stocked with fresh flavors all year round. When dried and stored correctly, they can maintain their taste and potency for up to a year. To dry herbs, first gather them at peak flavor, typically before they bloom. Rinse to remove dirt and gently pat them dry. Bundle small bunches with string and hang them upside down in a dry, well-ventilated area away from direct sunlight. Alternatively, use a dehydrator or a low oven setting to speed up the process. Once dried and brittle, remove the leaves from stems and store in airtight containers, placed in a cool, dark spot. This way, your herbs will stay fresh and aromatic for months. Food 10. Salt pork. Salt pork is a traditional preserved meat that has been relied on for centuries. It's a hearty food source that, when properly cured, can last for months, making it an excellent addition to any long-term food storage. Start with fresh pork belly or shoulder, rinse, and pat it dry. Rub a generous layer of salt evenly over the meat. If desired, you can add sugar, nitrates, or seasonings for flavor. Place the meat in a container and cover it completely with salt, pressing firmly. Let it cure in a cool, dry spot for several weeks, turning occasionally for even curing. After curing, rinse off excess salt and let the meat air dry. Store it in a cool, dry location or wrap and freeze it for even longer storage. When stored properly, salt pork maintains its quality and flavor for months. Food 11. Pickled vegetables. Pickling is a traditional method for extending the life of vegetables, adding a tangy taste along the way. The process involves immersing vegetables in a brine of vinegar and salt, which helps prevent spoilage while creating a unique flavor. To pickle vegetables, start by washing and slicing them into your preferred sizes. Prepare a brine with vinegar, water, salt, and optional sugar or spices. Sterilize your jars and lids by boiling them, then pack the vegetables in tightly, leaving a bit of space at the top. Pour hot brine over the vegetables to fully submerge them, ensuring there are no air bubbles. Clean the rims, place lids on, and screw the bands until fingertip tight. Process the jars in a boiling water bath for the recommended time. Once done, allow them to cool completely and check the seals. Properly pickled vegetables can last for years, retaining both flavor and crispness. Food 12. Beef jerky. Beef jerky is a high-protein, long-lasting snack ideal for storing. The drying process removes moisture, which prevents bacterial growth and extends shelf life. Begin with lean cuts of beef, trimming away any fat that might spoil more quickly. Slice the meat into thin, uniform strips. Marinate in a mix of soy sauce, spices, and other flavorings to enhance taste and tenderness. Preheat your dehydrator or oven to about 150 degrees Fahrenheit to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 65 degrees Celsius to 70 degrees Celsius. Arrange the strips on racks in a single layer, avoiding overlap. Dry the meat until it's firm and leathery, but still slightly pliable, which can take several hours. Let the jerky cool completely, then store in airtight containers or vacuum-sealed bags in a cool, dark spot. Dried and stored properly, jerky can remain fresh for several months to a year. Food 13. Applesauce. Homemade applesauce, when properly canned, provides a sweet and versatile pantry item that can last for years. To make applesauce, start by peeling, coring, and chopping fresh apples. Cook them in a large pot with a small amount of water until soft. Once cooked, mash or blend the apples to your desired consistency. Pack the applesauce into sterilized canning jars, leaving space at the top. Secure the lids and process the jars in a boiling water bath according to your recipe's instructions. Once processed, let the jars cool fully and check the seals before storing them in a cool, dark place. Properly canned applesauce retains its taste and nutrition for years. Food. 12. Applesauce. Homemade applesauce, when canned properly, is a long-lasting pantry staple that keeps its flavor for years. To make applesauce, begin by peeling, coring, and chopping fresh apples. Cook them in a large pot with a small amount of water until softened. Mash to your preferred consistency, whether smooth or chunky. Add sugar or spices like cinnamon if you like. Sterilize canning jars and lids by boiling them. Pour the hot applesauce into the jars, leaving about ½ inch of space at the top. Wipe the rims clean to remove any residue, then place on the lids. Process the jars in a boiling water bath for the specified time, usually around 20 minutes. Allow the jars to cool fully, then check the seals. Properly canned applesauce can be stored for several years, preserving both its taste and quality. Food. 13. Vinegar. Vinegar's high acidity makes it a fantastic preservative and a versatile addition to any kitchen. Its low pH helps prevent bacterial growth, which allows vinegar to last indefinitely when stored correctly. Keep vinegar in its original sealed container and store it in a cool, dark spot, away from heat and sunlight. While vinegar doesn't technically expire, it's best used within a few years to maintain peak flavor. Its versatility extends beyond cooking and pickling, as it can also be used as a natural cleaner. Ensure the container remains tightly sealed to prevent contamination or loss of quality. If vinegar develops an odd smell, taste, or sediment, it may still be safe, but effectiveness may be reduced. Food. 14. Homemade jam. Homemade jam, when properly canned, is a delicious treat that captures seasonal flavors and can last for years. Start with ripe, high-quality fruit, washing and prepping it by peeling, pitting, and chopping. Cook the fruit with sugar and pectin as per your recipe, stirring frequently until it thickens to your preferred consistency. Sterilize jars and lids by boiling them. Pour the hot jam into jars, leaving about 1/4 inch of headspace, and wipe the rims to remove any residue. Place the lids on and screw the bands until they're fingertip tight. Process the jars in a boiling water bath to ensure proper sealing. Let them cool, then check the seals. Stored in a cool, dark place, properly canned jam can last for years, maintaining its taste and quality. Food. 15. Root vegetables. Root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, and beets can last for months, even years, when stored in a root cellar or other cool, dark, humid environment. These conditions help preserve freshness and nutritional value. Start by choosing undamaged vegetables, clean them thoroughly, and allow them to dry fully. Store them in bins or crates in a root cellar or other cool, dark, and humid space. Separate different types to avoid cross-contamination, and ensure good airflow to prevent mold and rot. Check periodically for spoilage and remove any affected vegetables to prevent the spread. Properly stored root vegetables provide essential nutrients and keep their flavor and texture for months, making them a reliable, nutrient-rich food source. Stockpiling long-lasting foods like home-canned vegetables, dried beans, and fermented foods not only prepares you for future needs, but also enhances your diet with nutrient-dense options. Fermented foods like sauerkraut offer probiotics for digestive health, and dried beans provide a rich source of protein and fiber. Including these foods in your storage ensures that your family has access to essential vitamins and minerals, even in times of scarcity. Economically, stockpiling these staples is a smart move. Buying in bulk and relying on non-perishable items reduces food waste and the need for frequent shopping trips. Long shelf lives mean you can make the most of sales and bulk discounts, stretching your food budget further. By investing in these reliable foods, you save money, reduce trips to the store, and make efficient use of resources. If you're interested in learning more about ancient preservation methods and superfoods, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more frugal focus.